Hello and welcome to everyone watching on YouTube, and Happy New Year 2020. My name is Shurja and I'm back with another demo. This will be the demo for the Zoom G1X4. It's a multi-effects processor by Zoom, another one of those, and it also has an expression pedal, and I think there's a version of the G1X4 without the expression pedal. Uh, I'm just going to get into a little bit of the tones really quickly, and then some of the cooler functions that I think are really helpful, and how to edit the sounds a little bit, and so on and so forth. I should explain the signal chain, even though I've already started playing. That's my bad. I'm going from my guitar. This is a Vox SD22C into the Zoom, into the audio interface. It's as clean a signal as it gets, and there's minimum gain from the audio interface. So you can see that the patch number starts from 10 and it goes till 59, which is, as you can see, is written empty. So we start from this, which is basically your Marshall MS, Marshall high gain type sound. Now, you can see that it has a little bit have like, Zeppelin, this, that, the other. Now this is what I was looking for, is essentially like a cleaner tone, so that since we did play some of the heavy stuff and I want to get through the tones, you can sort of get an idea for how much it can do tone wise. Now it does have a tuner. You press the two of them together and you get your tuning happening. As you can see from the graphic, when you get both the arrows pointing towards the note, that's essentially your magic right there. Right, it's flatter, pull it up, got both of them. All right, B, E, good. So the first thing that I want to talk about is this overall edit capability that the G1X4 possesses. And this to me is extremely important because This is where sort of personal preference and things like that come in, and I've certainly used mine to get the tone to where I want it to be. Now, uh, you can see there are four knobs out here. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you were to move these knobs, regardless of the patch, this is like an overall EQ and volume for your processor. An overall EQ. This is not specific to a patch, it's an overall EQ. So what I've done is, so you can see that what I've done is I've sort of cut the bass, cut the mids, and increased the highs. That to me, because it felt really excessively chunky to me, and it wasn't keeping everything at 0, it wasn't pleasant for me. So I backed off the bass, backed off the mids, put the treble a little higher. So by the way, you just check that as well, that if I just press what is above the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, they have 5 switches. They can essentially switch through the banks from sound 10 to 18. So if you wanted to go from, let's say, sound 32 to 12, you don't have to press that many times. You know, if you wanted to go from, let's say, 10 to 30, you could just go, it's above 1, the red light is clicking above 1, and then if you just press the button above 3, you get to 30. So what I'm going to try and demonstrate is what the difference in tone would be if we push all the overall EQ to 0, make it flat, and then to where I sort of had it, to where it's backed off a bit. That to me is just a little bit neater. It sort of cleans up, because the lows, especially when you keep it at 0 or even further beyond, it really is quite damaging. And even though this is a really good patch, it'll really start coming into play on some of the other patches where the tendency is to, where if you, like, for example, on a patch like this, and it's almost overbearing in a way, because, like, the way I've always thought about it, like, there should be space for the bass guitar to hit the bass note as it is, so there's no need for the guitar to have such an overwhelmingly bass rich sound. So there we have something which is essentially the overall EQ and a volume. You saw there was a volume next to it. You can change it higher or lower as you want. And those are on the 4 knobs marked 1, 2, 3, 4. It's right below the display, as you can see. All right, below the 4 knobs, we have already mentioned that there are well, 5 knobs numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 extra knobs. One on the left, they're switches rather. The leftmost, which is the rhythm pattern, which basically they have a drum machine, and we are going to get to that. And on the rightmost, they have a looper, and we're going to get to that as well. But for now, we're just going to stick to the 5 switches here, which you can use for different functions. So, like I said, if you just press them without any edit capabilities, they are just going to switch through banks. What I mean is, it's on 1 right now, it's patch 10, 2 patch 20, 3 patch 30, 4 patch 40, 5 patch 50. Those are of course the empty patches in case you want to play. Keep in mind that the default setting for all of this is auto save. So if you change a patch, it's not a question of preset is different or user patches are different. It's all the same. It's all the same. You play a patch, you make a certain change to the patch, it stays saved right then and there. It gets saved. It's auto save. All right, but it's not just a bank switcher. This is how you edit as well. So for editing, the first thing you have to do is on the left topmost side, there is a Stompbox edit button, and you have to click that. Once you click that, you can see that the whole Stompbox opens up. What is there in the Stompbox? So you can see how you're going to switch through it is you can turn the Stompbox on and off either by pressing the, let's say if you wanted to turn this thing called gold drive, so which I'm going to turn the this is the tone. If I turned off the gold drive, so the distortion, the extra distortion is gone. I'll do that again. You can see the red light will come on and off. Less, more. I really like it without as well, so I'm going to try that. If you wanted to switch it on, move through, you have to use the second foot pedal for selecting. As you can see, you're selecting the noise reduction, the kind of reverb. You can select delays or reverbs on that side. And if you wanted to switch it on or off, like we switched it off, there's another way of switching it on and off, which is by selecting and using, which of course this is more convenient because you can't always be, you know, like I'm wearing socks right now and I'm moving really gingerly. On stage, you want to move fast. So then you need the bigger thing, you know. Like I switched the amp off. This is without the noise reduction. This is just the amp and the cab. Everything else has been switched off. You can see only 2 lights are on. So we have that aspect of the editing. And then to edit even further, press the edit button once more. So we've pressed it once to get the full display of all the 5 stomp boxes that they have, and then you press it again for each of the individual stomp boxes. So this is now on stomp box 5 because you can see 5 has been lit up. The 5 is lit up and is the plate. Now if you wanted to change it from plate, it could become pedal volume, which you could assign your expression pedal to. It could become a wah, a pitch bender, a vibe pedal, a delay pedal, reverb, volume, bypass, compressor. It could be so many things. So we finally come to something like the analog delay. So similarly, you can do that for every, and it's not that the delay will only be on 5 or this or that. No, you can change the sequence. You can do the whole thing. So that's not an issue. You can change whatever, you can change the sequence of the pedals. You can select it whichever way you want. It's completely amenable that way. And you can do the same thing. Like you can change the kind of amp. Like this is the Marshall 800. You can change the kind of amp. You can change, like, all of this is amenable. Like you do that, see, it becomes a 59, Fender twin reverb. You can just see that. So different types of, distortion pedals, everything. I didn't even know all the things that I set up, and it still sounds good. That honestly is encouraging. Okay, that you can just change stuff and it still sounds nice. That's good. Responds pretty well to the guitar volume control as well. And the tone. All right, so moving on really quickly to an overall setting that they have, which is on the right side, besides the dial. So you can see the same situation. They have the chain, the patch, the save, the setup, the power, LCD, so on and so forth. Maybe the most important editing wise would be the chain. Press it twice to get into the chain thing. You can select and move it whichever way you want, in the same functionality. So now you've selected the second thing. You want to move it. So you just select it to whichever number you want to move it to. And I've just switched it back. So it's that simple. Select the number that you want to move, wherever you want to move it, switch the numbers, you get it back, it's all good. All right. And again, now this is one of the disadvantages of the autosave, that if you're doing something like this, the initial patch is completely gone and you have something completely different in its place. But a lot of the times, if you're not doing something like this, then you wouldn't be essentially fiddling with your patch for no reason. So there you have that. Now this is like a very unusual type of sound, because it's a pretty vintage sort of sound, and I want to try and record something using a combination of the drums that they have, the rhythm machine, and the looper to come up with something cool. So just bear with me here. Now we've done the first layer of recording, and now it's overdubbing. that was something that we did with the looper. I want to try out just something else, just so you can see the different styles as well. As you can see, this is like a pop rock pattern. So there you have it. For the bass, I was using this patch on patch number 26, which is called the Octave Solo. That's what I was using. Patch number 26 called the Octave Solo. Uh, it's not technically a bass, but it has an octave divider, so I just used it. But you saw how much fun that was. You know, because you can get your beat. There's so many beats. There are many rhythm patterns, and you can loop it, and you can have some fun with it. You know, and on the go, like you can change your volume settings, get everything happening. It sounded pretty good. Sound pretty good. And I think that's the best part of it. Like, cause you know, when you're jamming at home or this and that, you can just sit. You know, you can connect your headphones straight into the out. Like, you know, right now it's going through single out. You can just connect it to the same output. You can either use the phono jack to go out, or you can even connect your headphones and you're going to get stereo right here. So it's pretty good. And you can also connect it to a Guitar Lab app that they've got going on to change your patches and all, connecting it to your computer as with everything else nowadays. So yeah, it's pretty good, really handy. It has an expression pedal that you can use to control your wah, your volume pedals, and so on and so forth. It has overall settings, as you saw, like you can change the chain, you can change the background, LCD, so on and so forth. You have overall edit functionality, and you have edit functionality within all of them. You can change the sequence, the whole thing. It's really quite handy. The tones are pretty good, as you've heard, and because anytime you see Barra, you have to play Barracuda. Anyway, I hope this video really helps you. This was my demo and review. Well, the review is that it's pretty handy for what it does, for the cost and so on and so forth, the functionality, the amount of fun, the tones. Really good job done by Zoom. They really are really good at this budget multi-effects processor game. They really are. So yeah, this was my demo and review for the G1X4 by Zoom, and I hope this helps you. When you like it, please subscribe to my channel if you do. We'll try and come up with some more demos and interesting content. I've got some cool gear on the way. I can't wait to share that with you. Got some cool music coming on the way. Can't wait to share that with you. As always, really look forward to your support. Have a great new year, and until next time, take care.